How many high school buddies?
Just two.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Our first Canadian speaking engagement was in Manitoba.
Can you
I'm
say
sorry.
that,
It was hard to
Justina?
hear you.
Yeah, it sounds far away.
Oh, you can't hear me?
It's like blurry, or I don't know the proper word.
Muffled,
Like
Yeah.
really low volume.
it sounds like you're speaking through a muffled. No, you're muted now. Come back sound.
Oh, technology.
Can
I
you
know. Try again, Justina.
now? Can you hear me?
Yes, it seems a little better.
Okay. I don't know what's going on with my little purple computer. Anyway, I was saying my first Canadian speaking engagement was in Manitoba.
Oh,
Oh, whereabouts?
cool.
I'm assuming Winnipeg.
Yep.
Yeah. Nice.
Cool. Hello, Carolyn and Olivia.
How are you?
Hi, ladies.
Hi. Yay. So glad y'all are on. Rhonda, we're going to introduce you in just a second, just so you
Okay.
know.
Yeah, no
Do
worries.
Hey, Rhonda.
Good
you
morning.
guys know each other, Justina and Rhonda?
Yes.
Yeah, we've worked together.
On
Uh-huh.
what?
What was the name of it, Justina? Do you, oh, we can't hear you, Justina.
Ah,
No.
my spiritual warfare.
Yeah, we shot in the Pacific Northwest a, at least a year ago.
Cool. That's fun.
Yeah, it was for a proof of concept in order to try to get money for the feature film.
Yeah,
So we
nice.
shot the first 7 pages of the feature.
Cool. Love it. Keys, you're on. Keys, you just graduated with your master's in something? Maybe you're not on yet.
Hmm.
Susan. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with somebody share something. Oh, Keys, you're replying in the chat. Let me check this. You got your MBA. I'm at the library. Oh, okay. No problema. No problem. Gotta stay quiet. Um, so we typically kick off, Rhonda, with like a little bit of news updates on acting things. So if anybody sounds good, Susan, whoever has like anything that you've done to move your acting career forward, share that with us. What do you have? Doesn't matter how small. Could have joined a new Facebook group or something. Carolyn, are you about to share? Okay. You guys, anything.
I'll go ahead and share.
Yes.
I joined you guys. I feel like that's a
Yes.
step.
Yes.
But I went ahead and did a coaching session with Beverly Holloway. You know how she's doing those one-on-ones.
Yeah.
Um, and that was very encouraging. I've been very discouraged in the area of acting for a little while, and just that meeting was encouraging and made me just seek out community, and so
Yay.
that's how I found you guys. She's the one that recommended I post in the Christian Casting Facebook page for recommendations for acting classes and headshot photography and that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
that's how I found this.
Yeah.
uh, so those
Cool.
two things, tiny steps, but steps nonetheless.
Exactly. That's how it starts. Like little,
Yeah.
little, but little. One of my favorite sayings, and what I remind myself of a lot, is that quote or saying, whatever it is, little by little, a little becomes a lot. And that keeps me going because I'm like, oh, I just feel like I'm making no headway, but I'm doing something. And eventually, consistency compounds. And so eventually it will
Absolutely.
turn into something.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Emily, were you going to add some news?
I mean, I'm going to be at a workshop on Sunday with Deborah
Mhm.
Lemon.
Who's that?
Um, she's a acting teacher. It's been a while since I've done a class, so Alicia's going to
Yay.
the same one, so it'll be fun.
Cool. Is it in Dallas or where?
Dallas, yeah.
Yay. Aw, that's good. Good job, you guys. Okay, well, I do want to definitely leave enough time for us to get to know Rhonda. So, Rhonda, we're going to get started. So, I think Laura May, we're going to do the room 4. It's going to be 11:15 to 12:15. And so we'll talk about that at that time. And then after 12:15, we'll spend that last 15 minutes doing housekeeping and stuff like that. But before we get to the 11:15 mark, my time, Rhonda, tell us what has been your acting experience so far, and then, or how long have you been doing it, and then where you live, and then why you joined the suite.
Okay. I actually started acting, oh my gosh, I think I was 8 or 9, and I was just a little orphan in the musical Annie. And that, I'll have to try to do this in a nutshell. That was, like that was the bug that bit me, like that was like, okay, this is where I belong. And I did acting all the way, through my childhood, and a lot of church. We had a church skit group, and I did a lot of that. And got my, my bachelor's degree in performance. And I guess, I performed all through high school and did competitions, and bachelor's degree in performance. And then, moved out to Los Angeles in my early 20s and pursued acting out there. And it was, I don't know if any of you guys have tried pursuing acting in Los Angeles, and it was very, very difficult for me. I was telling Beverly Holloway, the city kind of ate me alive. I would work 3 jobs to pay rent and, put food on the table. And, but did that for 6 years. I was able to, sustain it for 6 years. And, I actually ended up loving the city of Los Angeles and, everything that it did for me. But I think I actually started getting more stuff once I moved to Texas. I moved to Texas in 2008 and lived in San Antonio and did industrials and a commercial and short films, and booked my first feature out there. And so those were very like encouraging years to me. And then I actually just got married in October, and my husband owned a home, out in California. So moved back to California. So I'm now in Temecula, California. And by just the miraculous grace of God, I actually don't have to work right now, which is the first time, in my life.
That's awesome.
And so my husband and we sat down and we're trying to figure out, well, how do you want to spend your time? Not a lump on the log and just sitting on the couch watching TV. What do we want to do? How do I need to, kind of live this season? And he's the one who brought it up. He's like, Rhonda, you've talked about acting as long as I've known you. We're so close to Los Angeles and San Diego. We're right in between Los Angeles and San Diego. And he was like, I really want to see you pursue this, if that's something you still want to do. So I just, I was a resounding yes. I was like, yeah, I love it. I mean, from the auditioning to the performing to I love it all. And so that's when I joined Actors Access and started submitting myself, and I got a plethora of auditions when I first moved here. I mean, I was doing, for me, a lot of auditions in my opinion, for me. Then I was like, okay, well, maybe this is something that can happen. I mean, I don't know, maybe I can work a little bit. And then just met with Beverly on July 4th, and she encouraged and guided me, and she gave me a little timeline and told me what steps to take. And that's how I found you guys, through just start seeking out community in the film world, or in the acting world, I should say. And so I guess I think is that all you asked? I can't remember.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
and then
sorry.
why did you join the suite? Because you're in a good spot. You're in a good location for, moving your career forward. So why'd you join
Yeah,
that suite?
I really wanted community. Like I do feel quite a bit alone. I mean, I'm alone. Like I have no family or friends here. I'm brand new in Temecula. But in all honesty, my journey in film and acting has been it's been hard. You know, I've had an
Mhm.
agent 2 times in my life, but other than that, like I've been, you know, doing this
Yeah.
myself all by my, you know, and no manager, no
Yeah.
agent, no support. And so I need a community that can help lift me up and encourage me and, you know, help push me forward and give advice and encouragement. And I was hoping that's what you guys could, you know, hoping that this would be a good fit for me. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess, you know, I want somewhere, I want people that are going through the same things as I'm going through, and I can ask questions
Yeah.
you know.
And I feel like we've all been in that spot because, yeah, when you're starting the acting journey, it's not like you do it with your Boy Scout or your Girl Scout troops. Like you're in
Right.
it alone, and then you have to figure
Right.
out everything on your own. And it's so much easier and better when you have people that you can be like, hey, who'd you use for this? Or how did you get
Mhm.
that? Or whatever. So totally hear you. I think we
Yeah.
all have been there. Let me check some of the chat. Suzanne, yeah, Kathy said a supportive spouse is a true gift. Oof, 100%, 100%, especially in this industry.
I am beyond that.
Yeah.
That brings me to tears every time I think about it.
Yeah.
I am beyond blessed that, I mean, first of all, he's a provider and
Yeah.
fighting for me right now so that I don't have to work. And then an encourager that he's like, yeah, like,
Mm-hmm.
let's play around with this. Let's see
Mm-hmm.
what you can do. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's been, you know, I'm in my 40s and it took me a long time to finally decide um, that I wanted to not be as independent as I have been and submit myself to a husband. And I should have done it 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was going to be this amazing. I didn't know I was going to
Yeah.
find such a fabulous human to spend my life with.
Yeah. So when you got one, it's so nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Suzanne said, I have a dear friend and filmmaker, actress, and OC, good Christian woman. We'll give you her
Oh,
info if you're interested.
yes, definitely.
Emily said, community is so important. Susan said, oh, this is the best community in my career so far, 10 years. Suzanne agreed. Oh, you guys are awesome. I
Fabulous.
love being around y'all so much. We do have, I'm not going to let in iPhone yet because I don't know if they are someone that's in the suite or they're not. It might be Drew, but I don't know.
Venus,
Cool.
love being around y'all, especially at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. in the morning.
I
You're
know.
the
It's so
same.
much fun. Yeah, it's so much
Amen,
fun.
Susan. Amen.
Or in
So,
the middle of
Rhonda,
the floor in a hotel room, in the middle of the floor, in the middle of the
yes.
night, in a circle, hugging and crying everybody with everybody.
Yes. So
Yes.
with
Yeah.
so some of the
Yeah.
fun stuff, Rhonda, like we get to carpool together and travel to these places and like see each other at events. And some of the girls, we were all just on a shoot together. So it just makes it so much fun when you've got that community.
Mhm.
Carolyn said, yes, my husband's very supportive, drove me to an actors group 3 hours away.
Yeah,
Wow,
it's
Carolyn,
amazing.
that's awesome. I love that. And he comes with you to some festivals and stuff. Keys said, I'm excited to go to film festival with y'all one day. Yes, Keys. Who raise your hand if you're going to content in September? Susan, me, Carolyn. I know there's more. Emily, you're not going? Did we already talk about this?
I still need to check on that.
Yeah, you need to be going. And Justina, you're not going?
Melissa and Lillian are going to be there.
Okay, good.
They're not on today, I think.
I might have to go and cut it short. His mother,
Mm,
her 80th birthday celebration
Mm.
around that time, and we're gonna have to go there. But it's kind of at the end. I need to check the dates here. So
gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
what's the cheapest way to go?
Yeah, I don't know. I volunteer, so I don't know about tickets and stuff. So it's 11:15, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and let in these folks that are in the waiting room that are here to hear from Laura. And I'm also just going to message Laura real quick. Okay, let me let these folks in. Who's coming on? Oh, Cheryl, yay. So exciting. Cheryl, Julia, Leslie, can you guys hear okay?
Yes.
Yay. Oh, so fun to see you ladies. And who is iPhone? Oh, yes. Oh, awesome. Love it. Okay, so Laura's going to be joining us in just a second. Oh, she should be coming on. Let me see here. I don't know who the weirdo of the Zoom is, but we're going to find this out. Has anybody Zoomed with this person?
Is it Drew?
I don't know.
My iPhone?
Oh, there's Laura. Oh, Laura, you're the weirdo with the Zoom.
Okay. No, my children also use this computer. Let me go ahead and change that name because that's not how I definitely, I want to represent myself.
I think you can do it from your little 3 dots in the top right corner.
Oh, that is so embarrassing. Oh my gosh. Thank you,
It's
children.
funny.
Where I go.
Oh, that's too funny. I was like, I wonder if she's coming.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of weirdos, no, the weirdos of the room are all downstairs in the basement at the moment. That's where the weirdos went.
Oh, you were like, go far, far
My
away.
children.
That's funny. There we go.
So
Yay. Okay,
embarrassing.
perfect. No, you're good. That's so funny. I love it. Okay, I feel like a lot of us kind of know each other, which is super fun. And if y'all want to come and show your face on camera, like that would be extra fun, but obviously you don't have to. So Olivia said, love that. And Amanda says she's driving to San Antonio at the moment, but she loves hearing from you ladies. Miss you guys. Yes, Amanda, be careful on your travels. And we miss you, and I'm glad you're on. So y'all, we're going to be talking about room 4 today because I know all of you have probably seen stuff about it, things that Laura gets to post and like little snippets of it here and there. But I don't feel, unless I just don't know about it, I don't feel like you've gotten to extensively talk about it. And so I'm like, I know that it's going to be a powerful platform that's going to be helpful for Christian filmmakers, especially, or only specifically. And so I'm like, what are all the features and all the benefits and where did it come from and what can it do? So I'm super glad that you were up for coming on and sharing about it. So the way this is going to go, you guys, if you have a question as we're talking, go ahead and put it in the chat. We'll let Laura go through all of the stuff about it, but if questions arise, put it in the chat. And if you will just start your question with a capital Q and then your question, that way I can easily see it when I'm scrolling through the chat. So a capital Q and then your question as we get going. But so Laura, I want to get started with, I feel like we all know who you are, but I still want to know a little bit about your journey in the industry and what you do. And then we'll get into room 4.
Okay. Perfect. And if you guys don't have questions prompted, but you have a specific frustration, I would love for you to start it with F, a frustration about the film industry in general, because this app is being created, it is being cultivated to answer problems, to answer frustrations specifically. And so your feedback is vital because I'm in the industry. I can anticipate many of the needs, dare I say most, just because I've played so many different parts, but inevitably I know that there's stuff that I'm missing and we want to be the solution to everything. Yes, that's bold, but I'll show you how and why we are hoping to be the funnel to answer all the frustrations of the faith-based and family-friendly film industry.
Yay.
So about me, first, I am a wife and a mother of 9. And so the fact that I'm also a dreamer is not realistic per se. But in, my sort of midlife crisis was in my 30s. I had 4 kids. And I remember this moment where, well, many moments, but this ultimate breakdown moment where I said, Lord, I don't want the dreams anymore if you're not going to fulfill them, because they are burning within me so much so that they are consuming me in a very negative way. I'm dying inside because of these dreams rather than coming alive through these passions. And if you want them and they are from you, please fulfill them. And if they're not from you, would you just take them away? I don't need them. I don't want them at this point. I'm looking at 4 beautiful, healthy kids. And I had a mother who was very feet flat on the floor, kind of stable, non-dreamer, and just really encouraged me to live the safe life. And she had kids. She had just 3 of us. And she said, when they put you in my arms, my life was complete. And I was like, man, is that supposed to happen when you have a baby? Because I've got 4 and I still don't feel that completeness, that fulfillment, that purpose realized. Now, I love being a mom. I love being a wife, but I didn't feel as though that was my do all, be all, end all. And so in that desperation where it was just consuming, I said, Lord, please just take it away. In this moment, I give it back and I don't want it anymore if it wasn't of you. And I'd never prayed that specifically about it. And so fast forward 12 years, he answered in a mighty way and not only said, yes, this is for you, but kind of threw me headfirst into what I would find this, this puddle, this pond, this lake, this ocean of the faith-based film industry and talent and serving that community, which is really, really cool. But every step of the way, I said, okay, Lord, what I do, if you are saying that, yes, you're going to fulfill this, I need to do it with my kids because I do have 4 kids now. I'm not deciding whether or not I have children or a dream. Like you're now pulling more toward this with my kids. So I was always very dedicated to finding that balance. What can I and can't I do? I'm not going to travel all the time. And if I do, I'll bring them with me. But honestly, I never thought that was even in the cards, they say. And it was all of a sudden I started having opportunities to go, be an extra on set with my kids. Hey, we need church members with full families. I was like, oh, we have church clothes, we have Bibles, we'll go, they need all ages. And then it was, I would show up and then they would go, hey, could you actually help us with casting? A lot of people that do this. Do you want to help us with extras casting? I said, sure. And then they're like, hey, so we need to cast this really pivotal scene, but it's in Connecticut and we're a little nervous about doing it. Would you do it? And I was so green. I took it on. I said, sure, I can do it. I had no idea this was a Goliath moment. No idea. Until the Lord saw us through it. And now I look back and go, I was out of my ever loving mind to say. But that's what propelled me into the casting part of it. So it was all just very organic. Not to say that we don't push really hard. When something is of the Lord, we should be willing to push because my grandfather likes to remind me. I'm actually in Michigan right now to see him a little bit. And my other grandfather has a 90th birthday party. So that brought me to the Midwest. He's seeing both grandpas this time. And he says, honey, some doors say push. And I thought, you know what, that's so right, because so many times we're like, okay, well, Lord, open the door. And maybe he's whispering, it's unlocked, but you got to push this one. So Venus, I love your email signature. Anybody who knows you knows that it's pray and push, or push and pray. One of those two things.
Pray and push, because pray is more important. Pray is first.
So in that vein, I suppose, having my grandfather having told me that for years, some doors say push. And then knowing that in my own life, when the Lord opened the doors, I kind of found myself tumbling into things that I never went looking for. They came looking for me. And so, of course, I thought, how am I ever going to do this with 4 kids? And now I laugh and go, girl, you had no idea how easy that would be, because now I have 9. So yeah. The more I trust the Lord with my family size, the deeper into the industry I get, which is so bizarre. But that shout out to the mamas who might be listening, that your children are not the obstacle. They are the way. And if you stay focused, I believe in faithfully pursuing that calling first, and finding that balance and asking the Lord to, I'm proof that he will show you what that looks like. And so as I was wrapping up, we were on set for that film in Connecticut. We were down in the green room and we got talking. We're like, there's an Actors Access. And back then, Mandy.com was actually a thing, for finding people. And then we had, casting networks and some other casting platforms. But we thought, man, the Kendricks have kind of blown the doors open for us. Why don't we have our own place, where Christian talent can meet Christian opportunities, or even faith-based and family friendly, meeting those who only want those opportunities? Where's that connection? Little did I know that at the same time, Beverly Holloway, who most of you would know, her heart was churning, going, why don't we have a place where faith-based performers can find faith-based projects? And so while I was trying to develop Christian casting, she went to the founder of Casting Calls America, Brian Jagger, and goes, hey, she met him at a film festival. Hey, could you take your casting platform and just weasel out a little part for faith-based projects? I would use the same platform and then just do it that way. And he was like, yeah, that's a great idea because nothing like that exists, right? So as he's saying, nothing like that exists, I'm over here with Christian Casting Building going, nothing like this exists. And there was a major PowerPoint to this story. So as we're culminating, and then we both publish our Facebook pages, you know, and they're both growing. And I admit, y'all, I'm human. I admit I was watching the likes on the faith-based casting page. I was like, "Arr," and then they were watching mine too. I found out later we were neck and neck. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I need casting network, or I need a casting platform. I can't keep doing all Facebook stuff. And then at that time, Beverly Holloway goes to Brian Jagger. She's like, listen, I know we got this software. You know what we don't have? We don't have a community. Okay. Have you seen Laura May? Because she's got a community. Okay. She pours into these people. They know her. They trust her. They love her. It's like a family. We don't have a family. We have computer software. We need to talk to her. So I get on the phone with Brian Jagger. And of course, we're both tentatively like, oh, this is awkward. And beautiful friendship formed. And so I still, with Room 4, he knows and I know, I still want to have my own casting platform. But in that time, it was a beautiful thing because I don't want to say the word preached. I've always spoken, taught, enforced the fact that as the body of Christ, I don't think there should be competition. I think there is room for each of us to serve within the capacity that we were called to serve in. And I just don't believe that competition ought to be our mojo. And so as I'm talking to Brian, I'm like, hey, I think we can figure out how to make this work. I have the community. You have the platform. So let's talk about how we can do this. And so we did. And for a time, we partnered together and it was cool. And, you know, sometimes Christian casting folks would get discounts. And so I do still wholeheartedly support faith-based casting. But I have also noticed in the journey, both from what Bev had said early on, and then also just in my own use of the platform, that there are some things that a community can offer that a casting platform can't. There are things that a casting platform can offer that a community itself can't, just organically. You can't keep things structured very well in a Facebook group. You just can't but you can't have conversations on a casting platform. And so there's this necessary mold of the two. And so long story short, I had been praying about, you know, in that green room, we had said, why isn't there something? So the Lord put Christian casting, that phrase, on my heart. And it actually took me a year. Some of you know actress Jen Chandler, and I had gone to her. She'd worked with Google. And I said, hey, how big a deal is it to get the .com? Because, you know, I see .net, .org, anything else I wanted, .co. And she says, nope. I worked for Google. You, for analytics sake, you want .com. Wait for it if it isn't there. And I was like, wait for it? Like for how long, you know? And so fast forward a year, I had to wait a year for .com to become available. But through some conversations, somebody found out that this ministry I'd worked for 7 years now, 7 years, the person who owned that website when we did some digging was the woman that I had worked for 7 years. And because I had gone with them until the final lap, they said, hey, so I said, hey, I just found out that you own the .com of this domain. I know that you never did anything with casting, but I always thought maybe you would. And quite frankly, within the ministry, I was kind of the one that worked with the casting because nobody else wanted to. It just kind of fell onto my plate all the time. And so I was like, so I understand that the ministry that we've been in, like we fought hard, but it seems to be the season has ended and God is closing this door, even though we'd love to keep working together. That said, were you planning to do anything with this website in the future or not? And if not, here's my dream. And I would have never done it on top of this ministry or, you know, alongside of it, like competitively. But if you're not going to use it, I wondered if I might buy it from you. And so the response was very quick and very brief and basically said, Laura, you have served well, and it would be my joy to give this to you. I'll talk to the IT guy. We'll get it transferred to your name.
Yay.
And so shortly before then, some filmmakers I had worked with up in Boston of Mount Harvest, one of the brothers, Jonathan, called up his brother Xavier and said, hey, man, we need to make Laura a logo. I had never said a word to them about it. They're like, and he's like, what are you talking about, man? Because Xavier and I are actually much closer than Jonathan and I. And so he's like, man, what are you talking about? She needs a logo. He's like, the Lord told me. I had a dream. I woke up in the middle of the night. We're supposed to make her a logo. And so I found out that they had been working heavily in the branding community. And so the logo they came up with me, had I pursued them years before, it would have cost me probably between $2,500 and $5,000 for the conversations and the actual presentation of the logo. And I say that just to let you know, like that was was right around the same time as the .com. And so all these things have just fallen into line and into place exactly when the Lord needed them to, which brings me to a film festival. It was a Christian World, or I'm sorry, let me back up. 2020, the world is going crazy, right? Like real crazy. And I decided to have my kids watch Tortured for Christ, the Richard Wurmbrand story. And the reason I wanted them to watch that is because I had never before anticipated that faith could be something my children would be persecuted for in their lifetime. And, oh, okay, I'm frozen here. Am I okay on your side?
Your audio is good, but yeah, your face is frozen, but you're good.
Oh, and what a face. That is horrific. Get behind me, Satan. Okay. Well, we're just going to put a little like logo over my face for the replay. Gosh, that's horrific. Anyway, thank you, devil. As I talk about faith being persecuted, I'll just keep going. Watch me get worse. Satan, watch me get worse. Okay. So, so basically I have my kids watch Tortured for Christ while this is, all of the quarantines are going on and things. And I said, hey, you guys, I just need you to know that if there's ever a time that your faith is being tested against, even your relationship with mom or your grandparents or your pastor or your whatever. If you are ever challenged, to deny the Lord or whatever it may be, I said, if they're taking my head off, the proudest moment I could ever have as your mother would be to say, I cannot deny my Savior. And I said, and know that they can touch my body, but they can't touch my soul. They're not killing me. They're just taking my body away, but that's okay. And we have this huge discussion. And so we're watching Torture for Christ. And in there's a scene where Richard Wurmbrand had become very, very ill. And in the prison setting, of course, he was arrested for preaching, even when it had become illegal. And he was sent to room 4, which is where everybody's sent to die. It's literally like the hospice of today, right? You are sent there because they know you're about to lose your life. And it's just easier to care for all the dying people there. And so we had this of course full of emotion moment, when he's talking about room 4, he says nobody that came there was ever from the same social status or the same economic upbringing, or we had come from all different places and all different backgrounds, and for all different reasons we had found ourselves in prison and ended up in room 4 together. But no matter where we came from, when we left, not a one of us wasn't going to heaven. Like we were all, as people passed through room 4, when I was there preaching, not one person who had entered didn't exit headed toward heaven. And in that moment, I felt like the Holy Spirit's like, that's the name of your app. So he had already Christian casting. He had already whispered, hey, I want you to put together an interactive directory. And I was like, I don't know what that means or how or what. And I don't know what to call it. And so in that moment, he whispers room 4. Fast forward several more months, and we go to the Christian Worldview Film Festival. And I find out that there's this team called the Groters, Groters Productions, and they are phenomenally talented. This guy was sweeping the house. It was like every other award was like, and first place goes to Groters Productions, Groters Productions. They were all over the board, right? And then I felt like the Holy Spirit whispered, those are the people you need to talk to. And I went, the lady with all the kids who barely feels like I belong here at a film festival, and you want me to go talk to the people who are sweeping the house in awards? I'm not worthy. Well, then I find out, I do some digging on them, and I found out, guess who produced Richard Wurmbrand's Tortured for Christ?
Oh, wow.
Groters Productions. So I went, oh, okay, I hear you, Lord. I hear you. Okay, I'll go approach them. And so I go and I say, hey, don't know who I am, but the Holy Spirit told me to come talk to you, and here's my idea, and blah, blah, blah. And by the way, I love that scene about room 4. And I know that room 4 wouldn't mean anything to anyone else, but because you guys did the film and got to know Richard Wurmbrand, I'm wondering, can I use that little clip of the movie for some promotion? Just because people are going to say, why room 4? Like, what does that mean? And I feel like that 5-minute clip just declares everything. If we are not in the pursuit of what we're in, to lead people ultimately to Christ, no matter where they came from to sit in that theater, will they leave having known how to meet Christ? And so that to me, and immediately Judy Groter says, yeah, sure. And at first I had asked them, well, hey, do you guys know who I might ask? I see that you produced it. She's like, oh, well, my husband wrote it. So yeah, you can use it. I mean, there's nobody to ask. It's just us. And yeah, you can use it. And I went, okay. And so then I said, well, I would love to someday schedule an appointment, to meet at your office, to do a kind of a roundtable and see what it might take. I don't know if you guys even do apps. And she's like, oh yeah, we totally do. And I never knew that they did before the Holy Spirit told me to go talk to them. And then I found out they've made apps for Focus on the Family. I think they've made an app for the Voice of the Martyrs, and they are very much in app development. And so I said, well, hey, look, I don't know, you're like 20 minutes from my family in Michigan, and I don't have an agenda. You know, I might be going to Michigan after this. I might not. She goes, follow us home. Why don't you follow us home? We're going to be out of the country next week. But if you can come home this week, if you want to follow us home, let's set up a meeting this week in our office. And so I got to see an aunt that I hadn't seen for 25 years, who was also in Michigan at that time, took a total 16-hour detour from getting home from the film festival, but the Lord had opened my schedule because we homeschool. And I was like, why wouldn't we go 16 hours out of the way? And so we met with them that week. And when I explained my heart and my vision and how it had grown for this interactive directory turned answer to every single filmmaker and actor's problem, they said, wow, Laura, you don't want to build an app. You want to build an entire online world. And I said, yes, I do. Because I want it to feel as though you have stepped into a film festival and every single booth you ever wished you could have visited is all in that master hallway. And we are all there together, and we can gather in different rooms that are based on topic and discussion, you know, an experience, and we can find a room that has the label on it that we want to learn more about. And so, yes, I want it to feel like a film festival in the accessibility of all the information, but I also want it to be in the palm of our hands where everybody can get to it from wherever they are. And so basically that is kind of the story. And here we are, we had to raise 5,000 to get our beta prototype. And so that is done. So many of you, I think, actually have that. And we've been posting, we actually just posted our 717th post on there, which was kind of exciting. So we're just slowly but surely, but I shared all the other timeline to share with you this, that anybody who might go, wow, you've been sitting on this for a minute, like, tell me. I know. But I have to believe that the God who has brought us this far with perfect timing in so many things, that he has his fingerprints all over the final release when we are approved in the App Store. We're on Google Play, because Google plays nice. Apple does not. And so we have been a beta for Apple forever. But if you're Android, you're like, what? I don't see a problem. That's the one moment I will shout hallelujah for Android, because I'm an iPhone girl. But the Google Play Store has allowed us to live there for over a year now, and downloads, and you know, and they'll do our updates for us. So so that's kind of where it's at. There are so many different features that I don't even know where to start exactly. Maybe we should hit some of the comments first, since I've shared the behind the story and the timeline and the heart of it. And then as I feel like it would be better if I can answer questions, Venus, while people are asking them, because then maybe organically a question would come up and I can say, hey, the app does have this in development to answer that. So
yeah, yes, I love that. Oh my gosh, this was so, I love seeing when God orchestrates something, because then you can move forward in like full faith and not like hesitant faith, but it's like, well, God, you brought it to me, so I know that you are going to see it through. And oh, there you are, you're back.
I totally should have done that sooner. Just stop video and start video, whatever. The devil wanted
well, now
to
we
play.
know. We all know. But yeah, because there's like such a confidence when you can move forward. And I know you said that it's been taking so long for it to get off the ground or like move forward, but I find that things that are built quickly fall quickly, and things that are built with intention over time tend to last longer. So I love that feels like a slow rollout, because you guys are working on the important things as they come and not just trying to throw some mishmash together and hoping it works. But before we get to the questions, I do want to do a screen share for you guys. If you've never gone to it's christiancasting.com, but it will forward you to room 4. So let me just show you all what that looks like and kind of how they're operating. Okay, do you guys see the room 4 screen? Okay. Okay, so as you go down, it's got some in room 4, a little bit about it, and then it goes through how they are progressing. So release 1 is in beta testing now, which Laura was just talking about. Currently funding release 2, which has all of these added features. After that's fully funded, it will move into phase 3, and that's got all of these features. And then 4 will have these features. So just so you guys know what is coming and like how robust it's going to be. So let me stop share, and then I'm going to go over to the chat, and I'm going to go to the top. Okay, Susan said, question and frustration, the difference between room 4 and faith-based casting, which I canceled due to the cost per month when nothing really applied to me or my area. Okay, so she wants to know the difference between room 4 and faith-based casting.
Okay, so faith-based casting is basically just a where are casting notices and how can I apply for them? There is no directory involved. You cannot search the database to find filmmakers, producers, directors, cast, crew, anything. For Room 4, it will be an online interactive directory comparative to LinkedIn, where you can search different people by job title or by their name, and then that would give you their job title in their profile. So that is one of the major differences. You'll see in Phase 4 that we do want to have private groups, or called rooms, for Room 4, where you can walk in just like at a film festival, and this room is let's say Jacqueline is the host of this room, and she's talking about script writing and all of the things. And then maybe there's another one, maybe Suzanne has a room, and this one is like utilizing dance in theater and film. You know, if you're like, hey, she's laughing, like, hey, I love that, I could host that room. Well, then as people browse the rooms, as we get more robust with the rooms, then when people come in, they can go, I want to subscribe to like this room and this room, just like a Facebook group. So the rooms are going to be very comparable to Facebook groups. So that's going to be another difference. It'll be, there will be a messaging system, but we're still working out, because people like, let's be real, Alex Kendrick or Jonathan Irwin are not necessarily going to be able to let you guys DM them at will. So Jared O'Flaherty's probably not, like, he's a great guy, loves to humble himself and talk to all the fans, but he's probably not going to want an open inbox, with everybody being able to access. So we're still working through membership levels and what it might mean to have private messaging. It is something we want to have, but that would be another feature where you can potentially, with permission from, the other profile, direct message right there within the app. We want to have the equivalent of a Facebook marketplace where filmmakers can exchange gear, maybe sell off some wardrobe to another film set that might need it. We want to have a spot for locations, because we've already used the app to connect people. Without that tab, we've already been able to say, hey, we have a filmmaker who's in Michigan and they need a location for this particular week. They want to set up some, and it was Jonathan Bosley. He's like, I need to set up some pallets, and that's it. Like, all I need is just a tunnel of pallets. Well, we had a gal in Alabama, I think, who has a grandfather in Michigan who was like, hey, my grandpa's got a bunch of acres there. I wonder if he would let me use it. Well, then he did. And then that gal even came up from where she lived, her grandpa, and to be in the scene. And it was just this beautiful, it's all these first full circle moments, and removing the competition and allowing us to function as the body of Christ is at the heart of this, where we don't have to work harder, we have to work smarter. And we keep chasing after the Hollywood model of everything, which we think is going to lead to this intense success because Hollywood has made it, except the Bible tells us a house divided against itself cannot stand. And we are watching a lot of crumbling going on. And right now, there is no body within the Hollywood industry or that model. We should and we could have that within our own, where we are sharing resources. Because in Acts, I think it's Acts 4, the early church lacked nothing. Why? Literally because they shared what they had. Mm-hmm. And if I had a filmmaker who's like, hey, I don't have the budget to go rent, some red cameras, but this person owns them, and I might have like a 57 Chevy that they need to use. Like, we just don't know. There's going to be a board where you can post, hey, this is what I have to offer. And then people, it's like a bulletin board. People either pull it off and they call you, or they don't, but it's there. It's also going to be for churches and pastors who want to support faith-based films. But right now, a lot of indie filmmakers don't have the budget to market properly. So people don't know that these films are happening. We are all very well connected, but the little First Baptist down the street just does not know what's coming to theaters. And if they don't frequent the theaters because of the schmuck, they're not going to seek it out. We have got to have a better funnel for promoting films. And if everybody's promoting in the same place, then all of a sudden a rising tide lifts all ships. Because if there is one place you can come to go, what's coming out now and how can I support it? Boom, you log into the app even as a pastor and go, what's hitting theaters? That's going to be one of the tabs, like what's releasing, either streaming or, to rent on Amazon, maybe for free on Tubi, or maybe it's in theaters. Maybe it's hitting DVD at Walmart. And that's how we know we all do the push to go buy it at Walmart. So there are many, many exponentially more reasons that it's different than faith-based casting. But in the platform itself, in the casting platform, we do tend to have very akin to Actors Access, a very rigorous platform with a very detailed actor profile. So we are basing it much on Actors Access as far as, the platform, how we're going to lay it out and how functional it is. That's that's the base work for that part, but that is only a small part of what room 4 is to be completely.
Awesome.
Oh, and I forgot. Churches, for the churches and the pastors who say we want to give to faith-based films, but we're not actors, we're not this, we're not that, there's going to be a place for them too, because they can say, hey, I live in, you know, like Boo-Foo, Kentucky, but I have this chiropractic office. I mean, I'm just, and this is the church I go to. I'm just saying, if anybody ever passes through Boo-Foo and wants a chiropractic office to film in, then we know that that's a location that's either free or next to free. And if somebody is wanting to serve in that way, they would love to offer what they have. And locations have also been a pistol for me and film teams in the past. Permits getting rejected, permits getting, you know, just all kinds of people swooping in and paying more for the space. And then we get booted, all kinds of things. Or there might be somebody who at the church or in the ministry who runs a restaurant and says, I would love to cater even just one day. If a Christian film came to my area, I would provide all the meal for one day. So Venus, having just come off of Caruso's first production, you can go catering for a day. Yes.
I know.
So
and in the middle of the night too, like a middle of the night, hot food. And it was like, wow, amazing.
Yeah. Yes. So I want to take the body and say, listen, it's not just right now. I feel like it's just the actors and the cast. It's just the cast and the crew and the producers. And we're just trying to make this happen. Well, like, no wonder why we're exhausted and broke and dead ended, because we need the body. And some of the body is just the one to say, hey, I've got a room you can stay in. Like, I've got a couple, maybe a church member has a couple Airbnbs and they're like, I would love to host your folks. And because it's going to have LinkedIn review features, that we could bring that person to, hey, this is the team. And here's what people have had to say about hosting that team in the past or about that team in general. And so the reviews, LinkedIn style, are going to offer a safety net for us to be able to promote and encourage those of us who should be. And then also to, perhaps in the absence of those good reviews, help others avoid some that we know in our industry just are not, their testimony is not what it should be. I'll just say it like that. There are wolves among the sheep, and we, Venus and I, have spent a lot of hours talking about how do we combat that? What do we do? What is our responsibility? And for now, it's just to keep the sheep safe. So that is part of my goal, to keep the sheep safe, is to build in place a system where those upon whom we can bestow some honor and gratitude for their Christ-like behavior, where we can visibly put that. And I don't think that that's going to be given for some of these other folks. So I'm hoping that distinction alone is enough. But that's where even the local churches who could say, I want to be a part of, like, we want to be like Sherwood, where the whole church got involved. And, you know, we love that story. Well, this is a way that friends and family and uncles and neighbors and dentists and, you know, whatever they own, if they have something special to offer, kind of like a state's film office where they'll offer you film locations, we'll have a locations tab where maybe you didn't know what was in your area. And I think Renee was just recently looking for a location for her Haven series. And I thought, man, see, this is another reason that it would be great that she might not even know that somebody in her area would be willing to donate some space. So long answer for what are the differences, and there's a million more. So actually, I'll call it my short answer.
I love it. Okay, next question is from Kathy and Susan. How much funding is required to see this project to full fruition?
So $50,000 for phase 1. And so you guys can look on christiancasting.com or room4.app for phase 1. That one is $50,000. And there are people who have said, hey, couldn't you build it cheaper? Yes, I could. In fact, I had someone challenge me, well, I'm building an app for such and such. And they were using third world builders who barely speak any English. And listen, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that per se. I would prefer to I was thankful that the Lord guided me to American-based believers who support things like the Voice of the Martyrs and Focus on the Family, and are just, their heart for the Lord is as deep or deeper, you know, much deeper, but their heart for the Lord is what guides their heart for this industry, technology, media, etc. And so part of the reason that it's not a dime a dozen is because I'm not using folks in a third world country who could build me apps for pennies on the dollar. I would prefer to employ US-based believers who are very well versed in this industry and, quite frankly, are thrilled to be able to use the app once it's running. So they have a vested interest in seeing it built because they're like, hey, that's a cool thing. And we're really excited, just like everybody else is.
So phase one, 50, and then do you have an idea of the future funding, like the total overall?
We don't, but
Okay.
because our needs have changed as we've beta tested, we've realized that we might shift some things in phase, from phase 3 to phase 2, maybe from 2 to 4. So what we're doing now is, this part's a little daunting for me, but I can do it. I have been connected with the Lion's Den. Some of you guys might be familiar with Lion's Den. It's like a faith-based Shark Tank. And so I've been studying previous pitches. I've been in there just learning things from the teachers that they have in there, their past videos. And I have been challenged to, instead of trying to raise 50,000 for phase 1, I've been challenged to come up with a business plan for 1 million and instead go pitch to the Shark Tank, pitch to the Lion's Den. And so tentatively in October, we're going to have created a $1 million business plan, but that would also bring along a team, because right now the 50,000 is literally for me to hand it to Groters so that they can pay their developers so that the app can be built. Like, it's no team, it's no testing, it's just paying for the process of building. It'd be like building a hotel without any staff, without any beds, without any decor. So the $1 million is going to be all of it. We're like, okay, we're building a hotel and we need staff and we need marketing and we need, the best sheets and towels and we need, cleaning crew. So that $1 million ask is going to outline all of those things. But if the 50,000 came first, I would be thrilled. And I would say, here you go, Grutter's team. I'll still work on my pitch, but let's get that first phase rolled out so we could bring phase 1 to the pitch. So
cool. So you'll be at the Lion's Den. Like, are you already accepted into that? Or is it like a thing you have to wait to be like, yes, you're on the list?
So I'm probably this coming week, I'm going to be submitting as a potential pitchee. Right now, it's very random. So you submit and you have to also have a 5-minute pitch video, and they look at your business and you have to share your testimony, I think, and then what your app or your ministry is about. What's your heart for Christ and building the kingdom through it. And then they, at random, or, I would imagine if the Lord's leading, then they choose a couple of people, and every month they have a practice pitch that we can all watch. So I get to attend live and I can ask questions and I can interact. So I'm just watching other people do their pitches, and then I get to see where the investors nail them with, well, your pitch didn't say this, and what have you thought about this, and who's even on your team? And so they drill holes in it, which is such a gift, because then those people can go back and go, all right, now I know how to fix my pitch. And so that's exactly what it's for. So I'm in the practice pitch learning phase right now, and then in October I'm praying for the opportunity to present Room 4 as an actual participant in the pitching.
Yay. Okay, who is going to ICVM in October? Raise your hand. I know myself. Okay, Emily, and Shandy is off camera. I know she'll be there. Good. Okay. Love it. And y'all, we can all be praying for this before October comes around for Laura. Okay, so where'd you go on my screen, Laura? Hold on.
I'm next to Emily, from what I can see. I don't know
if Sorry, I'm trying to. There you are. Okay, cool. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Suzanne said, city's making it hard with all the permits. Oh, it's crazy. Yes, totally. Justina said, Laura, this is amazing. What a powerful vision God has given you. Oh my gosh, that's so true. Nacheka, frustration. My frustration is it's been feeling like the faith-based industry is Christian Hollywood and cliquish when it comes to filming, casting, and going with known people, and not also including preying on the people to use.
So Nachenka actually knows a little inside scoop about me and a certain film team and a certain person that I didn't want in the film, just because everybody uses him. And we don't need to do that. I feel like that is everybody's safety net, except it's not a safety net anymore. It's literally like well, you did that because everybody's doing it. That's never like our mothers told us, that's never a good reason to do it. If everyone was jumping off a cliff, you shouldn't. Yeah. So we have one part that I want to introduce. Maybe y'all can support me in this. So give a little like hands up or something if you would. I want a feature on there, and I will pay for it. I will go clean toilets or something to pay for this, for something called agent eligible. Because listen, there is a major shortage of agents in our faith-based industry promoting faith-based only or even family-friendly only projects. The problem is there are so many deserving agent eligible people who just aren't signed because these agents have boutique rosters, like Jean Wenger and even Natalie Dundee with Bold Line Entertainment. And she's a manager, but she's out of Nashville. There's another one, Pamela Putman in she's near Tampa, Florida, but they're kind of maxing out their rosters. And I'm so frustrated. And I asked my husband if I could do it. And he's like, I think you'd make a great agent. And I was like, well, so does everybody else tell me that, honey, just so you know. And he goes, I don't care. Finish the app first. You got to finish it first. And you better do a good job. Okay. If you want to be an agent, finish the app well and then go be an agent. You cannot take on any more right now. And my husband's very smart. He's feet on the ground, but he's also like, he holds the string of my balloon as I'm up in the clouds. And bless his heart, he'll just stand there and hold it so I don't blow away too far. And so that is my goal after this. And I'm like low key managing some people at this point. It's kind of weird, but he didn't tell me I couldn't manage. So so I'm like, well, I'm not an agent. I'm not. It's way different. So anyway, that said, my heart is to reach out to the people who are so deserving and just because they haven't secured a spot on somebody's roster doesn't mean that they aren't phenomenally talented and so ready and they've put in the work. And I recognize that because I work with so many of them. And so if we have a way to put in a tier with the app, if somebody says, well, look, no offense, but I want to see new faces. And we keep repeating the faces just like Hollywood does.
Yeah.
How do I even know? Let's say the app has 20,000 signups or 100,000, which would be, or let's say 500,000 to 1 million. How could a producer or a casting director begin to wade through that? Like, I get it. Disciples in the Moonlight did open casting and they had 25,000 plus submissions. I understand why that is feasibly not ideal. I get it. Art is still for those who don't have representation and deserve a spot at the table. And I know they do. And so agent eligible is a little like a star or some sort of indication on a profile where somebody will have passed a set of rigorous testing per se, where they can say, can you do a quality audition turnaround in 24 hours? Do you have decent lighting and sound? Do you have the ability to travel? Do you have, children that would have childcare? Do you have, like, and not all, you certainly don't have to answer all those questions, but I would have a very strict, a little bullet point list. And if they meet all those criteria and they're good, man, do I want to stamp their profile with something that shows like, hey, nobody's claimed me yet, but I'm available and I'm worth looking at because Laura, and not just because I say so, but when I say pay for it, maybe I could find a panel of agents who are like, look, I can't have anybody else on my roster, but if you paid me $100 for the hour, I would go through some tapes. And then it's not pay to play because I hate that. So hear me out. But somehow, some way we've got to help get you guys seen. And that's where I said, I'll go clean toilets. I don't care. But I want some sort of system where we can establish like, hey, they're newbies and like, okay, we can tell. But I want a way for those who have risen to the top, who have played the game hard and well, and just aren't signed yet, that they have that second tier distinction within their profiles.
That's what I was going to ask you about. Is like, what would those standards be or the criteria that they would have to get that little stamp? But you just answered it. But I think also what you're bringing up is that, yes, there's a total shortage of agents in the Christian market. And so is there a way to put the word out like, hey, if you're toying with the idea of becoming an agent, we need you. Like if that's something that God has put on your heart, we absolutely need you. And you will make a great agent when you get to do that. At least you're managing now. But like, yeah, you're right. Because the more we can have like agents representing Christians and getting them out to work, then we can continue to infiltrate the media with Christians and those who love and serve Jesus. And I love that idea. Okay, I'm going to jump back over to the chat. Let me go back up. Okay, Suzanne said, can't even get someone to look at me, even though I'd been recommended soda feeding. Oh, I hear you, Suzanne. She said, if you become an agent, I'd fall over myself to get signed by you, Laura. Susan said, question, do you think there should be more casting directors that can reach the faith-based community to free you up in order to help filmmakers from always going to those named agents to fill their cast needs?
Yes, yes. And that's part of why I want to create this answer to everything funnel, because I don't understand why our faith-based industry is so small. Honestly speaking, it is so small that there ought to be a single place that we can all go into the room. And listen, I will continue to shout out faith-based casting because they are great for what they do, for the people that they serve. It is a needed element. And I love that it was Bev's baby, and so I love supporting that in her. And she has supported Room 4. So we are supporting one another in that. And I think that faith-based casting is going to be the answer for a lot of people. And so a lot of filmmakers have found great cast members. In fact, I accidentally found somebody great. I was so frustrated. I posted a casting for our Boston project and I hadn't found anybody for, the soldier role. And I was like, oh, I forgot to check faith-based casting. I logged in. Man, the kid was amazing. And he came up and filmed with us, incredible heart. And we've continued working with him in different ways since then, but I found him on faith-based casting. So like, it's so much has its space and it deserves to be here at the table, but not everybody even knows about that. So I want to say, hey, open the doors and like look at everybody that's here. And where's the agent that you fit with? Where's the producer? What state do you live in to find the production teams where you are? And casting directors, yes, there need to be more. But if we had a single place, like a clearing zone where everybody could come and then you just find what you're looking for, it does not make sense. Well, it doesn't make sense that we don't have that, I guess, because I didn't build it yet. But even with film festivals, I said for probably 6 months or more, like, Lord, why hasn't somebody just culminated a list or cultivated a list of faith-based film festivals so I can just look at them all in one place? Goodness, this is frustrating. And so then I would search again, like list of faith-based film festivals. I did that for 6 months. And then the Holy Spirit's like, would you get the message? Okay, this is your job. I was like, the lady with kids, I gotta be the one to do it. Okay, fine. And so now if you go into the app and you type in film festival, you go to resources and go to film festivals, you can scroll, and there is every single faith-based that I know of. So if I missed one, tell me, please, because this is a user-fed information. Despite what I can find on my own, extra eyeballs always help. And so you can now go to the app and just scroll through a list of film festivals and it'll give you the state right there. So like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that there was one in the state next to me. What? I thought I had to go to Dallas. I thought I had to go to Orlando. I thought I had to go to DC. So I want the same sort of ease to be that we have for film festivals. I want it to be like that for agents, for production companies, for filmmakers to get distribution. Why do I have to try so hard to help people find distribution information? There should be one page where we can go where every single person is listed. What is the criteria for distribution? What is their payment process? Or is it just free? Are they exclusive? Are they not? And then just have a list of them and then just one by one you knock them out instead. And then hopefully we could also have those reviews. Filmmakers who have used them could come in and say, this was amazing, loved working with this team. Our contract expired, we went on to Amazon, but it was great while we were there. Like we could leave those types of reviews and it would just simplify everything. Can you tell I have 9 kids? I'm like, can we make this easy, please? Can we please make this easy for the people in the back who just don't have time to search 800 different websites at, in little pockets of time? Can we please just make it streamlined? And so that is my heart for distribution. That is my heart for supporting streaming services. Do you guys know that Redeem TV is a thing? You should, because Vindication is on there. So many people are like, what? I've never heard of Redeem TV. Have you ever heard of 360? Everybody's like, oh, well, PureFlix. There's PureFlix. There's way more than PureFlix. And there are so many people doing incredible jobs in their own little spots. You know what, quite frankly, if you want to get rid of cable and you have $80 to spare, oh, here's a platform I like to shout from. We reap what we sow. If you are not pouring into this industry, why are you standing there with a bucket trying to pour out or to pull out? If we had a well and we all were bringing buckets and dumping buckets in, we all could take buckets out. Mathematically, it is possible. If we are all coming with our empty bucket going, why isn't somebody filling the well? It doesn't work. It just does not work. So that is why if we took our DirecTV money and our $80, and this is anti-Hollywood, but like this is why the body of Christ mentality works for me. If I took my $80, do you know what I could do? I could probably subscribe. I gave up DirecTV years ago, but I could probably go to subscribe to almost every single indie streaming platform. I could give a little gift to Redeem TV. I could do a little something for, 360. I could go to Saltflix. I could go to, gosh, there's a million of them, you guys. And if they were all there and it's like, oh, that's only $3.99. Oh, that's free. Oh, that's just a love gift of any amount. You could probably take your $80 a month and go subscribe to every single faith-based streaming service out there. Give them the support that they have worked so hard for and prepared for. And then the world's not getting your money. The faith-based industry is instead. We have to figure out how to funnel into the same place if we all want to pull out of the same place. We can't go support Hulu and Tubi and Amazon and Netflix and Disney. Don't get me started on that. Go support them and go, how come none of these faith-based projects are union? And I don't doubt any, or I don't fault anybody who says that because it's frustrating. But the reason that none of them are union is because the money's not there, because we're busy dumping our buckets of water into the world and into our favorite Hollywood stores. Up Faith and Family. Yes, I just saw that one. $53 a year. Yes, you know what I'm saying? Like if we redirected even our pizza money or our coffee money or something, but they're so few and far between. And we see this one scrolling on Facebook and we're like, oh, yeah, oh, that's cool. I didn't know about that. Scroll, scroll, scroll. And instead, if you went, I'm going to go see how I can support because I want to reap, so I better sow. It's a biblical principle. So where can I sow? Also, the app is going to have a tab for prayer requests. If you just go, I don't even know what to pray about today, but I want to pray for the faith-based film industry. People can have a board with all of their prayer requests and you just pray through. We're going to have a tab where people can list their fundraisers and then investors can come in quietly. They don't like to be, they certainly don't wear investor name tags, right? But then if we had all the fundraisers, inevitably, right? Not everybody's going to come, but in an ideal, perfect world, if everybody posted their fundraisers there, sure, you'd get lost in a sea, but at least there's only one sea that they're swimming in. And the investors, the odds of them finding you is so much better if it's all in one place and everybody's maybe, like, oh, pick me. But the investor is scrolling through pages and pages of God ordained projects all in one place. The odds of them finding you there are way better than your random little Kickstarter or GoFundMe or Indiegogo. That's what I was thinking. So yes, a whole world. I want to make a whole world, and that's why it costs a lot of money. But I can't. Every time I think of a new piece of the platform, I can't think of why we shouldn't do it that way, because to me it just is so user friendly and like so accessible. It puts everything that we need like right here.
Yeah. So how do we, for those of us who may not have it, how do we on Android download it? You said we can just download it straight from Android, but iPhone, there's like a little trick way to get there, right?
Yes. So because we have to, did you all know that Apple, if you become an app and then do in-app purchases, they get 30% of every in-app purchase? That is robbery. To me, that is so gross. And for small businesses, they'll discount it a little bit. But if they see that your small business is successful, then they call you a big business and then they take their 30% anyway. So I'm like, 30% of nothing is nothing, but still I want to keep my nothing. Thank you very much. And so we are not approved yet. So what you have to do is when you go to christiancasting.com or room4.app, they'll land you in the same place. You will go to that download, become a beta tester, and then you will click it. It will first download an app called Test Flight onto your phone. You need that to be able to test unreleased apps. So you'll go through those prompts, hit it, it'll put Test Flight on your phone. Then go back to the prompt, hit it again, and it will load the Room 4 app into your Test Flight app. And then from then you can actually have the icon right on your screen. And then it'll function as a normal native app once it's on your phone. If you get that cursed, your beta has expired, because everybody kind of freaks out when that happens, just go to the download links again, and it probably means we found a bug. And so we try to fix it, and then it gave a new release. So you just need to download the new release onto your phone. If that doesn't work, then sometimes you just do a hard removal, just pull the app off and then follow the links again, and it'll install a fresh new app.
Oh, I love it. We have 6 minutes left. Who has ideas to add or more frustrations to add as they're building this? As Laura was talking, like, I'm sure you were like, oh, it could also include this and it could also include that. Like when you were talking about locations, Laura, in my brain, I was like, ooh, lodging would be cool. Like I know in the Sisterhood suite, we get to go places and like stay with some of the ladies in the Sisterhood because we know them, we trust them. They're like, yeah, come stay with me. That would be cool if there were there was lodging available where it's like, hey, I'm going to be going to this place. Does anybody have a room to spare? That would be amazing to be like, I trust you and I know that if I stay there, you're not crazy. But that would be my idea is lodging. Anybody else have anything to add?
Yeah, and in case I'm not going to say her name, we all know who she is, but since this is a more public, one of the ladies here in the suite has even said, "Hey, I have this house in this area, and if you guys ever have to go there, you can use my house." I have a feeling there's so many more resources like that, and if we just knew where to put that information and make it available, it could make all the difference.
Yes, totally.
And quick shout out to Keys. I just started looking through her comments. You guys, Keys has been a phenomenal intern almost since the beginning of the year with Room 4. She has busted and cranked out all kinds of amazing stuff. So Drew she has been an intern as well. She just had to let it go for some summer and fall activities coming up. And Keys has some also really exciting things that are going to be entering her life. So she will be stepping down soon. But y'all, anything that is like just super whoa, and you go, man, how did Laura pull that off? I did not. It was Drew and it was Keys. And they were like my Aaron and her holding my arms up for these past 6 months. And these ladies have been absolutely phenomenal. And I see that Keys just said, you're making me think about becoming an agent. Ha ha. So she said she had to go. I don't know if you're still here, Keys, but girl, let's talk about that. Because if that was one of your next steps, that would be so exciting.
So I saw, just glancing over here, I didn't see any more cues, but I did see that Shandy also asked what would be involved in becoming an agent. So maybe that is something that we can have a side conversation about for anybody who is kind of on the fence and considering that. That would be really cool. 4 minutes. Who has something they want to add in here? Or Laura, is there anything extra that you've not shared that you want to share?
No, I just saw Kathy Patterson's, Laura, let me be your first intern, agent wannabe. Girl, yes, let's do it.
Yay.
The ink is still, we're done.
This was all great, Laura Nay. I'm just like, wow.
Yes, and seeing and hearing your vision of it and like what you want it to become, I think that pulls us along with you. There's a quote that I love, and it's set yourself on fire and people will come for miles to watch you burn. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard that, but I love it because I'm like, yes, when you're doing the thing that you're passionate about and you're so on fire for it, people will come to just be and watch that passion. That's my interpretation of the quote. It may not be that way, but that's my interpretation. And I'm like, I like it. So, but yeah, when you're so passionate about something, everybody's like, okay, let's get on board with that because we can see your vision, we can see your passion. It's not like you're gonna hit and then I'm gonna switch gears and I'm gonna hit and I'm gonna switch gears into something else. Like this is a long ride that we can come along with for you. Y'all, what I would love for you to do, if you're okay with it, take a picture of the screen, of everybody on the screen, post about it on social, and then just say something about how much you learned about Room 4, how much it's gonna help the industry, how much, like how you're excited about it, something like that, so that Laura can get more eyeballs on it and investors or whoever it is, just spread the word about Room 4 and what it's going to become, because I'm totally on board. Christian's taken over the media. Who else has something? Oh, should we do a smile? Should we pause for a smile? We'll do that. Okay. Y'all get your camera ready. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Looks like you guys got your pictures. How do we donate? Leslie asked.
So right now there should be a donate button on christiancasting.com. And if for some reason we were in between links for where that money would go, so because we have one woman who has said, actually from Women in Film Arkansas, Becky Bartlett, who a lot of you guys know, she is the president of Women in Film Arkansas, and she has said, hey, if anybody wants to do a tax deductible donation and they need a write-off, we'll take 10% because that's just how these arrangements go. And I love it that it's going to her group. So they will take 10% off of the top, and then they will issue a check for 90% of the remainder to Room 4. And then I just use that for development. So if you need a tax write-off, then that's the way to do it. And I can get you in touch with Women in Film Arkansas. And if you want to just donate, I think that the donate button now goes directly into Groters. So it is just like the fund. And then as they have more money, they can do more things. But I can check that link because it may lead to our old crowdfunder, and it should not. So I'll have to check on that. Cool. But thank you for asking. Thank you very much.
Okay, so it looks like we're at the end of the hour. So typically we in the Powerhouse Sisterhood Suite, we actually stay on for an additional 15 minutes and we do some housekeeping and some prayer partners. But for those of you who are not in the suite, but you're here, like Cheryl, Yvonne, you guys, I would love if y'all have an extra 15 minutes. I would love to get to know you guys a little bit if you're game. If you have to hop off right now, go ahead and go. But I just want to open it up to you all because we're all Christians, we're all women, and we're all in the film world. And I just want to get to know you guys, and hopefully we'll see each other at a film festival. So since I see all sweet ladies on top, and Cheryl, you're the first non-sweet woman, what do you do in the industry? And I don't want to like make this forever long, but I do want to get to know you enough. So what do you do in the industry? And then maybe what's an additional question? Maybe how could we help you maybe, or like, yeah, just let us know what you do in the industry.
I'm a screenwriter predominantly, and that's my biggest passion in life. But the show, These Stones, you may see the poster behind me. That was the first show I got to actually be the showrunner and producer on. And I would much rather just write, but this also was a really nice privilege to be able to steward the show. I don't even like to use the word producer because I'd rather be like that person who helps shepherd something through to fruition. And so I'm really happy with how it turned out. We did 6 episodes, and like I put in the chat box, this is not being posted on social media yet. We're waiting for the network to give us some graphics, but it's going to be on Up Faith and Family starting this September. And we're going to do a rollout of 1 episode a week so that it gets more of a following. And so that it's a show that it's Madeline Carroll I was able to bring in as my lead, the girl from I Can Only Imagine. She did a movie for me called Indivisible, and I wrote the lead character for her and was very excited when she was willing to do the part. And Beverly Holloway was our casting director, which I know you guys have mentioned her a few times, but she's worked on 4 of my films before. So it was really nice to bring her in on this project as well. And Karen Abercrombie and Cameron Arnett are probably they're the 2 that I know show up in a lot of things, but we also have some new faces that have like Rusty Joyner and Charlene Amoya, who have done more mainstream projects, are the other 2 leads in the show. So it's nice to have a cross section in that way. What we need is, in order for us to be successful on these platforms like Up Faith and Family, because they're only, as you saw, very cheap, $53 a year, or maybe $6 a month. The only way to get us to get visibility to even consider having another season is to move to cable. But the way that'll happen is if it gets popular on streaming first with them. And so we need people to sign up in the beginning. It would help if people could subscribe for the 2 months so they could be there every Thursday when it releases, or at least watch it by that weekend. Come back the next Thursday through the weekend and watch episode 2 until we get through the finale, the 6th episode, because we want to make this show for 10 years. But the only way to do that is, as you guys know, it's hard to make money on a streaming show. So, and even Dallas Jenkins says the biggest problem he has on The Chosen is that as soon as he sells or licenses out the first one, he's got to turn around and raise money for the next season. So anyway, we already have offers for foreign distribution that came in this week for 9 different countries. So we're starting to build that base, but it's none of that in the beginning is enough to make back your budget. So you have to get a bunch of them put together in order to do that. So we're excited about it, and I really hope you guys watch it when it comes out. And anyway, but that would be the number one thing we need, is people to actually sign up, like Laura May talked about. It's like it's so little money to support all of these. And so I hope people do. So
love that. And I just realized, Laura, I didn't give you an official thank you, but thank you so much for taking this time to share and like give us the robust overview of all that Room 4 is going to encompass. So I was like, I should probably just tell her thank you. All that Room 4 is going to encompass.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Thanks for letting me.
Is there an echo? Okay, good. Yes, you're welcome.
A couple people asked a question. I don't have a link yet to Up Faith and Family has their own app, but I'll get something to Venus and maybe she can get it out to you guys. But we don't have a link to the show yet because it's not live on their platform yet.
Cool.
But thank you for asking. And yes, Suzanne, Logan was incredible in our 4th episode.
Awesome. Okay, so next is Julia. Tell us a little bit about you and how we can help you. Yes, Julia Malcolm. You're muted. Oh, there you are.
Oh, yes. Okay. I've been an actress for, taking it seriously for about 8 years. I started with Carrie Lewis's program and went through Shine and got an agent in Nashville with my daughter. And it was all her fault, really, because I was doing it for her to be an actress. But anyway, we've had so much fun together. But I've done a lot of commercial stuff, but I really would love to do more film and TV, doing things that matter, make a difference. I am a creative. I've been a graphic designer for 25 years and starting to do pitch decks for films, really enjoying that a lot. But I'm learning screenwriting and loving that. I've got a really neat opportunity. I've got to finish my first feature. That's the goal. And I've got someone on board that wants to help me make it happen. He's got all the connections. You all know him, but I'm not allowed to say yet. I hope it happens. He said, even if it's 5 years, let's do it, And I'm like, okay, he believes in me, and that means so much. But I am a part of a group called Kingdom Actors, and it was an online group that started in 2020 because of COVID. And gosh, I know we've had Laura May speak to us before, and we have, I would love to hear from you guys. Well, Susan Willis is in there, or yeah, that's how I met Susan online. And it's people really, mostly within the United States, but even all over the world, they're really interesting people, so much talent. It's so interesting. We've prayed for each other over the years and challenged each other. We made a short film 2 years ago in Nashville, and it wasn't perfect, but man, did we learn a lot. And it was a great bonding experience. So anyway, I'm a mom. I'm a homeschool mom finishing out with my last kid at home. And so I can't do all this creative stuff full time, but I really want to. But so if you think of me, yeah, just pray that I'll finish this screenwriting project. It's right there, but it's finding the time and being disciplined and believing that it's from the Lord and that he can use me, the confidence. And look, I'm turning red. Oh, just talking to you about it. But
good.
Anyway,
Yeah, of course. That'll be awesome.
Julia.
Leslie. Oh, go ahead, Emily.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna say, Julia, you and I met at Content 2 years ago. I just realized when you were talking, it's like we met. You may not remember me. I've got this halo behind me, but
I know I'm following you. Yeah.
yeah, I remember meeting you.
The Southern accent.
Super fun.
Well, hey, good to see you again.
You too.
And Justina and so many others. That's all.
Yay.
Met her too.
Leslie. Yeah. Okay. So Leslie, let's hear a little bit about you, madam. I see you came off mute, but I don't hear you just yet. Not yet, Leslie. Oh, you don't think your mic is working. Okay, that's okay. Well, if you want to just kind of tell us a little bit about you in the chat, just so we can get to know you a smidge. And Yvonne, if you're free, we'd love to hear from you, what you do in the industry, a little bit about you.
I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Well, I'm an actress. I've been an actress for quite a while. I've been blessed to be a part of a film production company here, where I am at. I'm also part of another film organization, nonprofit here. However, it is secular, for lack of a better word. That's what we use in the homeschooling world. Secular or Christian. I am a homeschooler. My last one also at home. Such a blessing, such a ministry. Just very quick. I had no idea it ever existed. And then God just moved me like a mountain and uprooted me and just created a new person in me. So I was very grateful for that. We're going to be getting together with a lifetime friend of mine who is actually a professor at a university here. And although it's a Christian university, there are so many, especially in her film program, students who do not have a grasp on what it means to believe that Jesus is the Son of God and our Savior. And she and I are both going to put our heads together and see what we can do locally to promote faith-based filmmaking and filmmakers. I've kept my finger on the pulse of it locally, and those who come up out of the wood and say that they want to connect, they don't. They go away, and I don't understand why that's happening. And I feel like part of my part, although it's hand in hand, and I'm sure everyone can relate. You don't want to get blacklisted. You want opportunities. You want to be able to use this talent that God gave you, and you have a authority over what you pick and choose to be a part of. But at the same time, if you turn down roles because of certain things that go against your ethics, then people don't want to call you again. They just kind of like step over you, even though they've seen your work and they know your work is good. But I've tried to be firm that if I get a script and they're doing something that I know that is against my spirit, I say, hey, that's gratuitous sex, that's gratuitous blasphemy, that's gratuitous this. If it's important to the storyline, okay, I get it. But there's got to be some redemption for this character. I've worked with a few writers and told them, why do you just allow your protagonist to go down the drain? I need to believe in this person for give them something, some kind of redeemable quality. And sometimes I've said, I'm not gonna say this line. It's
yeah. I think it's so good to have those boundaries in place. We actually recently talked about boundaries and also how to make boundaries known and all of that. So good for you for standing up for your convictions, which is, we all have different ones at different levels. And I think God's called us to do different things in the industry, but so good to find others who stand firm in that. I love it. Cool. Thank you guys for sharing about yourselves. We're going to spend the last couple of minutes. You're welcome to stay on if you want. We're going to do prayer partners. For you guys who have not had a prayer partner before, all it is just check in with your sweet sister over the next couple of weeks until we have our next meeting. And that can be a phone call. It can be a text. It can be a Facebook message. It can be whatever you guys want to do as far as prayer. So let me pair y'all up. So Jamie and Letitia, you guys will be prayer partners. Letitia, Georgie, and Jamie. And then Carolyn and Amanda, you guys will be prayer partners. And then Deanne, hopefully you can hear me. You and Shandy will be prayer partners. And then we've got Kathy and Nacheka. Y'all will be prayer partners. Susan and Suzanne, y'all are together. Olivia and Kathy, y'all are together. Emily and Justina, y'all are together. And then Rhonda and Laura May, you guys are together. And I will find myself a prayer partner. So anybody have questions on who your prayer partner is? And there's no like commitment, Kathy. Yes. What's your question?
Sorry, I had to unmute. Which Kathy is with who?
Oh, yeah. Good call. So Kathy Bates is with Nacheka. And then
Okay.
Kathy Patterson is with Olivia. I forgot we have two Kathys in here now.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
So Jamie, I got paired with you. All I see is your first name. I just want to let you know that if you want to reach out to me directly, you can find me at Letitia Marie's my middle name. I'm trying to change it back to my first and last name on Facebook, but I'm Letitia Marie on there.
Perfect. Cool. All right, ladies, y'all are amazing. I'll have this replay up soon. And Laura, again, thank you for sharing all that it's going to be and all the behind the scenes of it. I'm super pumped for it.
Thank you. Can I share one verse? It's
yes, you can.
And we don't normally find like great, inspiration from judges for life verses, but this one has literally become my passion verse. And 8-4, when you guys see it on Room 4 merch, because it's going to be a thing one day, it's going to be 8-4, and it'll be like on the sleeve or on the bottom of the t-shirt. And here's Judges 8-4. Exhausted and yet continuing in the pursuit, Gideon and his 300 men came to the Jordan and crossed it. So you are not always going to have the resources that you think you need, Gideon and his 300. You are sometimes going to be bone tired in the pursuit of it, like he was. But if you exhausted and yet continuing in the pursuit with the resources God has given you, you will come to the Jordan and cross it. Judges 8-4.
So good. Perfect ender. I love it.
Thank you, Laura May.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Y'all have a wonderful afternoon, and I'll see you at the next meeting. Bye, ladies.
Bye.